Would you fight Jake Paul?
Nah.
He too big?
Yeah, Jake big, but he doing his thing. Man, I'm gonna let Jake do what Jake.
You got 200 million for you.
I'm fighting Jake Paul. I'll fight Jake Paul. Come on, Jake. Hey, Logan. Get me. I gotta fight your brother, man.
Jake Paul just accused Terence Crawford of being terrified to fight him, claiming even the best boxers need $200 million to step in the ring with him.
Terence Crawford, you just made my list.
Would you fight Jake Paul?
Nah.
Come on now, bro. All these pound-for-pound fighters are too scared to fight me. They need $200 million to do it.
Jake Paul has ignited controversy once again, claiming that Terence Crawford is simply too afraid to fight him. In typical fashion, Paul didn't hold back when addressing the unbeaten welterweight star, labeling Crawford as part of his so-called bitch list after the latter initially dismissed the idea of a potential clash. Paul, clearly irritated by the idea that world-class boxers are unwilling to face him, slammed Crawford for needing a colossal $200 million incentive to even consider stepping into the ring with him. According to Paul, these pound-for-pound elites are hiding behind their reputations and financial demands because they fear being exposed by someone they view as a boxing outsider.
Terence Crawford, you just made my list.
Would you fight Jake Paul?
Nah.
Come on now, bro. All these pound-for-pound fighters are too scared to fight me. They need $200 million to do it.
Let Jake do what Jake.
You got 200 million for you.
I'm fighting Jake Paul. Come on, Jake.
And Shannon Sharp, you can get it too. No choking though.
Jake Paul, now 28, is in camp preparing for his June 28th return to the ring, where he'll face former WBC middleweight champion Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. The bout is being marketed as another step in Paul's controversial journey toward a world title. His last outing came in November, where he defeated heavyweight legend Mike Tyson in a spectacle that pulled over 70,000 fans to the stadium in Texas and earned him a staggering $40 million.
To do what Canelo on that night could not and stop Julio Cesar Chavez.
I'm going to shock the world once again and prove how good I am, how powerful I am. This is his toughest fight to date, and I'm going to embarrass him and make him quit like he always does. Yeah, I don't want any excuses. And when I beat this man, all the boxing media, like you guys always do, are going to discredit it. But I'm going to expose him, and I'm going to embarrass him. You know, he's the embarrassment of Mexico. Mexico doesn't even claim him, and he's going to get exposed on June 28th. And then the boxing media will have all these excuses. But I don't want them to be having these excuses because they say he's training hard. They say this is the most focused he's ever been. Good. And as he should be, because people don't realize how good I actually am. And when he feels those first punches, he's going to want to quit and go back to his stool.
Since that high-profile win, Paul has been linked to several big names in the sport. Among those who reportedly showed interest in fighting him were Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. Paul's team had been deep in negotiations with Canelo at one point, with plans for a bout in Las Vegas this month. However, those talks collapsed when Canelo opted to sign a lucrative 3-fight deal with Saudi Arabia, leaving Paul disappointed. Canelo instead fought William Skull, a little-known Cuban boxer, in a 12-round contest that many fans found lackluster.
How close was the Jake Paul fight? It was really intriguing. You're obviously a legend, a pound-for-pound great in boxing. How close were you to that fight?
Nah, you know, it's just we have an agreement to the promoters go and sell it the fight and everything, but I know, not that close.
As for Crawford, his refusal to fight Jake Paul appeared to be rooted in more than just the size difference. Speaking with former NFL star Shannon Sharp, Crawford brushed off the idea of fighting Paul, stating that he respected what Jake was doing in the sport and suggesting their paths simply didn't align. When Sharp jokingly suggested a $200 million payday might change his mind, Crawford didn't hesitate. He said he'd take the fight in a heartbeat and even apologized to Jake's brother Logan Paul for the hypothetical betrayal. That comment didn't sit well with Jake, who seized the opportunity to take another dig at the boxing elite. For him, the notion that fighters like Crawford would only face him for an astronomical sum proves they're not interested in a fair contest. They're scared of the risk. Paul continues to argue that his detractors underestimate him, and he views these huge financial demands as nothing more than an excuse to avoid facing him in the ring.
Jake says he could get a cruiserweight title in 2 years. Do you think he can?
It's possible. It's possible. Listen, man, a lot of people write Jake off, but Jake can punch with that right hand. He got a nice right hand. Gained a lot of respect for Jake because he's not a YouTuber that's just boxing just to box. He actually trains and actually want to get better and actually have got better and really putting his time, focus, and energy into boxing. So you got to respect that.
Now preparing to face Chavez Jr., Jake is moving back down to cruiserweight after stepping up to heavyweight for the Tyson bout. His upcoming opponent is the son of Mexican boxing icon Julio Cesar Chavez, though the 39-year-old hasn't been particularly active in recent years. Chavez Jr. has fought just once since 2021 and is currently more involved in crossover fights against MMA veterans. He's even lost to former UFC champion Anderson Silva, making some question whether he's still a legitimate threat.
Para empezar,
to start off,
nunca noqueado a nadie.
He's never knocked anybody out.
Dime a uno que haya noqueado.
Give me one name he's knocked out.
Uno.
Just one.
Knockout.
Es como si yo peleara con mi papá. Aunque él es mejor que yo, lo puedo noquear.
It's like if I fought with my dad, even though he's better than me, but you know, he's just old.
So,
he's talking about Mike Tyson.
I'll whoop both your asses on the same night.
It's gonna be a good fight.
Put both the Chavezes in there. I'll whoop senior and junior. Hey, Julio.
Cuando él nació, yo ya era campeón, dile.
When you were born, I was already a champ.
There's two things you can't beat. There's two things you can't beat. Me and your drug addiction.
Meanwhile, the boxing world is looking ahead to a massive clash between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. The two stars are set to face off for the undisputed super middleweight crown in a bout many are calling the fight of the century. Originally slated for September 12th, the fight has been rescheduled to September 13th to accommodate a change announced by Turki Alalshik, a key figure in the Riyadh season events. The shift has created a scheduling nightmare for combat sports fans, as the new date clashes directly with UFC 320, also known as Noche UFC.
All right, so let's just go in chronological order. Number one, Turki Alalshik, as of earlier today, told Mike Coppinger he was going to make Canelo Crawford on Saturday, September 13th, not September 12th like it was originally planned, which does make sense. Friday night fights for that magnitude of a fight when people are getting off work and everything else may not be the best option. But a Saturday night fight does make a ton of sense, and that their location is still pending. We all thought this was going to be Allegiant Stadium in Vegas, and I'm pretty sure that was even announced somewhere, but now location TBD. And this is the same night that UFC Noche goes down, so if I am correct in what I'm thinking here, Dana White, who is promoting obviously the UFC events, because that's what Dana White does, he's also now going to be promoting the Terence Crawford Canelo Alvarez event. At least that's what was the picture taken on the top of the Empire State Building. Dana in between Canelo and Terence Crawford. He's going to promote two combat sports running simultaneously against each other, maybe, on the same night. This is crazy.
Though many fans are eagerly anticipating the Canelo versus Crawford bout, not everyone is convinced it's as monumental as it's being billed. Oscar De La Hoya, once Canelo's promoter, had harsh words for both fighters. He expressed skepticism about the fight's credibility, pointing to Crawford's age. He'll be 38 by fight night, and the fact that he hasn't fought in over a year. De La Hoya also took aim at Alvarez, arguing that the Mexican superstar has been on the decline for several years. He referenced Crawford's supposed struggles in his last outing against Israel Madrimov, suggesting that both fighters are past their primes. De La Hoya's critique was sharp, casting doubt on why this match is being touted as the year's biggest showdown. He posted on X, "So hear me out, Crawford will be 38, and Canelo is 35. Crawford hasn't fought in a year and got exposed by Madrimov. Canelo has been getting exposed for the past few years. Can anyone please explain to me how this is the biggest fight in boxing?" Adding to that narrative, former two-division world champion Tim Bradley offered his take after watching Canelo's latest fight against William Skull. Bradley suggested that if Canelo struggled to chase down someone like Skull, who was viewed as an inferior opponent, he'd have serious problems against a technician like Crawford. The implication was clear. Crawford's slick movement and ring IQ could pose major issues for a slower, perhaps declining Canelo.
Don't listen to me. I'm just letting y'all know. Don't listen, I'm biased. But I'm just saying, Canelo couldn't catch that chicken. That chicken he was up against, how the hell you think he gonna catch Crawford?
Danny Garcia expressed doubt about Crawford's ability to carry his power into the super middleweight division. Reflecting on Crawford's previous bout against Israel Madrimov at 154 pounds, Garcia felt that his punches lacked the kind of impact needed to challenge someone like Canelo at 168. The physical jump in Garcia's eyes is a significant barrier.
Crawford has been active, and he's been a champion his whole career. You know, that's something you got to give Crawford for. You got to give Crawford his flowers. He's really been a champion since 2012. You know, has never not been a champion. So he has the champion's mindset. He is going up to 168, so that's a steep hill to climb. You know, I mean, he has the tools, but I think Canelo's gonna. My personal opinion, I think Canelo's gonna be too much for him.
Yet there are those who focus less on size and more on skill. Jim Lampley framed the fight as a rare meeting between two elite fighters at the peak of their craft. He admired Crawford's ability to flow between offensive bursts and defensive sharpness, likening his approach to legendary figures from boxing's golden era. Lampley was also quick to praise Canelo's development, especially since his loss to Floyd Mayweather.
His legs are the strongest in the sport. You're not going to beat Canelo until somehow over a long period of time Canelo beats himself. If he gets tired of all the discipline he has had to employ to make all the money he's made, if he has enough giant ranches in the Yucatan, if he has enough beautiful horses, if he has had enough unforgettable dinners with Mexican billionaires in Mexico City and Vegas, then maybe. But my guess is he will retire without incurring another loss, because it's important to him to do that.
Lampley pointed to the Mexican champion's sharpened counterpunching, granite chin, and his knack for neutralizing even the most dangerous opponents. Although he leaned toward Canelo retaining his dominance, he still left room for Crawford's brilliance to flip the script.
Which implies you like him against Bud Crawford.
I do like him against Bud Crawford, but I do think that it's a great fight. Now, I could change my mind when we get closer. Bud Crawford, to me, is a latter-day Sugar Ray Robinson. He has the multiple skills of Sugar Ray Robinson. He can defend or attack. He has a deep inner mean streak that he can employ at any moment in a fight to get what he wants. You know, before the fight against, help me out here last.
Madrimov was his last fight. Spence?
Spence.
Yes.
Before the fight against Errol Spence, there were quite a lot of people in the sport, in boxing media, who were saying, you know, I like Spence to win the fight. I was one of those people who said, no way. Errol Spence doesn't have the depth and the intellectual understanding of prize fighting to beat Terence Crawford, who is the great professional of his era, along with Canelo Alvarez. That's why that's such a great fight.
Bernard Hopkins approached the matchup with caution. While he respected Crawford's talent, he questioned whether the challenge was worth the potential cost. For Hopkins, it wasn't just about winning or losing, it was about how such a demanding fight could impact Crawford's long-term health and career trajectory.
Crawford cares about his life, and with that fight, what do that fight do for Canelo, fighting Crawford, and Crawford beats Canelo? What do that do for Canelo? I just think that there are so many other fights to make that's realistic and makes sense and less life risking.
Errol Spence Jr., who experienced Crawford's dominance firsthand, acknowledged the sheer risk involved in moving up to fight Canelo. Still, he commended Crawford's willingness to chase greatness and believed that if anyone could navigate such an ambitious jump in weight, it might be him.
I mean, I don't know if he's gonna win or lose, but I definitely be going Crawford. I think if anybody can pull it off, he can pull it off.
But no,
he's chasing greatness, so why not? Canelo came up to 175 and all that, and fought Kovalev and fought the other guy too. So I mean, if he can do it, and he started at 147. So I mean, if he's doing it, why can't Crawford do it?
Roy Jones Jr. focused less on Crawford and more on the pressure surrounding Canelo. From his perspective, it's the reigning champion who bears the burden of expectation. A win for Canelo would simply affirm his place at the top, but a competitive or difficult fight might raise questions. Jones saw this pressure as a potential factor if things don't go according to plan.
Buddy Canelo?
Huh?
Buddy Canelo, who you got?
It's a tough fight. It's like I said, it's Canelo's fight to lose, If he fight the wrong fight, he's gonna lose.
Julio Cesar Chavez didn't see much to debate. He dismissed the bout as more of a business maneuver than a competitive challenge, predicting a one-sided victory for Canelo capped off by a knockout. He had little faith in Crawford's chances to survive, let alone win.
Bueno, es una pelea muy dispareja, la verdad. Crawford es un gran peleador, pero no tiene nada que hacer en ese peso. Con todo respeto, él va por el dinero y Canelo lo va a noquear.
The two fighters are going to be different weight classes, even though they're going to fight on a specific weight. He believes that they're just going because of the money, Crawford, but probably Canelo is going to knock him out.
Teddy Atlas viewed the fight through a more cerebral lens. He defended Crawford's past performances at higher weights, noting the history of smaller fighters overcoming physical disadvantages through superior intellect and ringcraft. While he acknowledged the odds Crawford would face, he remained fascinated by the idea of a cerebral upset, one driven by strategic mastery rather than brute strength.
People are going to say Canelo's too big. He had trouble with a 154-pound guy when he went up from welterweight to that. So now he's going up to 168. Teddy, come on. How are you going to make an argument? You'll make an argument to this, to the history of this sport, where little guys have been able to beat big guys, because you reverse it. You reverse who's got the advantage and the disadvantage. Yeah, the size, the power of Canelo, he's got the advantage. Then all of a sudden you go back and you say, wait a minute. The other guy's faster. The other guy's craftier. The other guy has more options. The other guy is slicker. Oh, well, maybe he's got the advantages. Like the first time Pacquiao fought De La Hoya. And I know De La Hoya was having trouble with weight. Well, I get it. And that's fair. But still, I remember I picked that one. Every once in a while I pick one right. I remember that I picked that one where Pacquiao's going to win. And I said, yeah, you're saying that De La Hoya's bigger, he's stronger. He's got the power edge, he's got this edge, but the other guy's quicker. And that's going to be an edge, and it was an edge. I'm one of the people that thinks Crawford is very, very special. I'm not saying Canelo's not, but I think he's special in a different way, where he's got instincts that not everyone has. Yeah. It's the timing, it's the instinctual things, the X factors, the intangibles that he has. And I think they're going to show themselves. I really do. And I can't wait. Yeah. I can't wait. Yeah. I can't wait to see a smaller guy use those intangibles, use those X factors to beat a bigger guy.
Rolly Romero took a far less nuanced view. He predicted a destructive ending for Crawford, comparing the potential outcome to the vicious knockout Amir Khan suffered at Canelo's hand. For Romero, the size difference was everything, and he expected Canelo to use it to devastating effect.
So, all the people who think Crawford would even have a single chance against Canelo, they're fucking stupid.
Really, you have a way with words like nobody else.
No, but I hate it when people say that. They're stupid.
On the opposite side stood Shakur Stevenson, who threw his full support behind Crawford. Despite understanding the immense challenge ahead, Stevenson believed Crawford's mental resolve and ability to adjust on the fly gave him a real chance to surprise the world.
There's a lot of talk about Canelo Crawford as well. I know you're going to back Terence all the way in that fight, but how big of a fight is that? How difficult of a challenge is it moving up in weight?
I think it's very difficult. Canelo got the IQ. He got the size. He got the power, maybe. It's a very difficult fight, but I think if anybody could get it done, it's Terence Crawford.
Robert Garcia offered a more technical breakdown. He envisioned Crawford using movement and speed to control the early rounds, but anticipated Canelo's body attacks and forward pressure gradually wearing him down. Though he respected Crawford's skill set, Garcia saw a scenario in which Canelo's power became the deciding factor late in the fight.
Just, use your skills, speed, try to fight on the outside, and, he does have skills, man. He is a real talented fighter, so I think he's going to put up really good rounds, maybe at least 5 or 6 rounds. He's going to put up really good rounds. Eventually, I think later rounds, Canelo starts catching him, breaking him down. But I do see Crawford putting up. Crawford's, he's the man. He's pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world. He's very talented. I think he will put up a good fight.
You said Canelo maybe later in the rounds comes on.
and puts pressure on him. But Canelo more recently, the later rounds, it's a little like slower, maybe gives up a couple of them because he's already kind of won. That'd be kind of a different strategy, right? Like, can he still do that?
It has to, but he has to, because I think the first half, I think it'll be Crawford's fight. I might be wrong also, because Canelo is also very talented. Let's not take that away from him. He's very talented. But I do see Crawford maybe taking the first few rounds, the first half of the fight, and then Canelo forcing himself to pressure and try to dominate it that way, because knowing that he might be a little bit behind, he's gonna be forced to do it. And he's got the strength, he's got the power, he's got the skills to do that too.
Jaron Boots Ennis, who initially considered the matchup evenly matched, has shifted his view in favor of Canelo. He questioned Crawford's decision to leap into the 168-pound division without a tune-up, calling it a huge risk. Ennis emphasized Canelo's proven ability to dominate physically larger opponents, and doubted whether Crawford had ever dealt with the kind of raw power and finishing instincts Canelo possesses.
But I think you gotta lean more towards Canelo, because like I said before, he been putting big guys out and down, and Canelo not even really a 68-pounder. He probably really should be at 60 maybe, and he been hurting these guys. I think he be dropping these guys and things like that. So, and them guys be way bigger than him come fight night. I know that for sure. They be probably close to 200 pounds, and he dropping those guys like that. So I don't know. It's gonna be a great fight. The fans want to see it, so so be it. I think Crawford should take a warm-up fight, at like 60, or like at least at 60, just to get his body, to feeling of somebody a little bit bigger, and things like that. I know when you go up a weight, you gotta, develop that power and not develop the power, but like put that muscle on and be heavy and things like that. So he might not want to take a fight because he's trying to build up right now, but I think he should, just to stay sharp, and that way he don't have like a long layoff or anything like that.
As that showdown looms, Jake Paul continues to carve out his own niche in the boxing world. Whether seen as a legitimate contender or a marketing mastermind, his ability to stir up attention is undeniable. By calling out legends and challenging the sport's structure, he's forcing fans and fighters alike to reevaluate what it means to be a professional boxer today. While some still scoff at the idea of Jake Paul in the same sentence as Canelo or Crawford, others are beginning to wonder if the lines between entertainment and legacy in boxing have already started to blur.